All right, let's dive straight into it. Gonna skip the intro. I already did that. But so far as Nas is concerned, obviously, we like to start with the higher time frame analysis, higher time frame understanding. And, if we just take a look at this, obviously the market is, very bullish, right? We had this drop, right? Pretty significant drop. This was after the FOMC day, right? I actually caught that buy, TP'd, and then the market melted. I was sick that I missed that sale because I feel like that was a much better move than the buy I caught. But as we see, the market has just been, chugging forward, man, chugging forward. Ironically enough, I did think that we could possibly get another sell-off, but I was wrong. The market just continues to make new highs. And I mean, truth be told, man, the stock market is on fire right now. All right. So with that being said, after we broke all old all-time highs, truth be told, I was expecting a decent type of retracement of some sort. And I know my charts are a little messy, so bear with me. I do a lot of analyzing. Probably should have started clean. Actually, what I'll do is I'll pull up another Nas chart, just a little more clean. There we go. Yeah, that's much better, right? So after we broke these old highs, right, all-time highs over here, truth be told, I was expecting a pretty decent retracement, right? And that's just not what we've gotten. The market, had a pretty decent drop right here, but as you see, it just continues to push up and make new highs, right? So safe to say that the market is definitely on a bull run. And when it comes to Nas, which is very different from indices in a way, or not indices, but excuse me, currencies is very different from currencies in a way that when we have a currency and, say there's an imbalance, say there's a, fair value gap or order block, whatever, we look for those levels to get met and, rebalance. But when it comes to indices, the market does not always come back to rebalance. So we may not, truth be told, ever come back here. We might not ever come back to this gap. And that just happens because, when it comes to indices, we only need to look back a day or two, right? Maybe three at the absolute most. But a lot of times we're dealing with session liquidity and we're dealing with, maybe a 3 day look back, right? We're not really dealing with previous weeks, previous months, liquidity and stuff like that. Now, when we break all-time highs, it's a little different just because we're in uncharted territory. But overall, when we're looking for moves, on this time frame or on this particular asset, we're not looking back too far. And this is the reason why, you can clear some lows here from the session and push up. You can clear some lows here from the previous day, push up, right? Clear minor lows, push up, right? And as you see, it doesn't take much in order for the market to continue bullish, right? So with that being said, I'm pretty much going to look for the same thing here. Obviously, we do have a nice impulsive move to the upside. Market has started a bearish correction. Now, I just use a higher time frame to get my overall direction. And then we come down to the lower time frame to really get precise, do some surgery on the charts and drop down to the 30 minutes. And one thing I noticed, I did not hold this over the weekend, right? I probably should have, seeing how the market opened up. I wish I would have held, but I'm not a big fan of holding over the weekend. But I did take a buy down here, right? I took a buy at this level right here, right? Pretty much just to show you guys what it was that I saw. Um, Obviously we got the sell before the buy candle taking off right here. On top of that, I did have an initial buy here, and this buy actually ended up breaking even, right? So, me knowing that I want the market to go bullish, I just was a little premature in that entry. So when I went break even, I kind of told myself, okay, what's the chances now that once they take out premature buyers, now they're going to probably end up pushing the market higher, right? And on top of that, this push up didn't have a heavy crossover. So in the back of my mind, I was definitely open to an ace entry since I didn't get the heavy crossover. And when I see an impulsive move with no heavy crossover, I don't believe the market will make a higher low to continue up. I believe the market will actually clear that low and then push up, right? So that's what we actually did. Actually took some buys here, partialed out a little bit, and then once the market kind of came close to the end of the day, end up closing the rest, for a small gain, right? But now that we're in a new week, what is it that we can see happen? I do believe that the market will continue bullish, right? Um, Overall, here we do have a strong low, okay? So strong low meaning this low is lower than the previous one, and then the market actually starts to trend to the upside. So now that we have this strong low formation, and then if we look to the left and we see that it actually happened in a pretty significant area, right? This is you know, an area of the market. We can just clean this up a little bit. I'll put it right there. All right, we see the market actually sweep lows here. All right, so the market made a low, took it out, and then rocketed to the upside, right? Had a slight hesitation before crossing over bullish, right? So just this area in general, I feel like has a lot of sensitivity, okay? So when we come and hit that area, you can see why the interest to take buys were there, right? So now that the market is pushing up, we can just come down, see if we do see another opportunity for the market to go bullish, all right? So the market pushes up, comes and retraces. Not only does it retrace, but it actually clears some lows in the process before pushing up and making new highs, right? So now that we've made new highs, same thing. We come down, we're clearing internal structure, making higher lows, pushing to make higher highs. Now, this gap right here, I do believe it can be filled, right? Believe it will be filled. And once it does, I don't see why this couldn't continue. I don't really see a need. Like, obviously, I do like to see Asia session lows get cleared, but I don't really see a dire need for us to come back here, right? We could, right? Like there's nothing, obviously nothing that's impossible. So we could come here. And if we do, then by all means, then we're just gonna have a low risk, high reward buy setup down here. All right. So if we come here, by all means, we can start taking some buys, stop loss beneath these lows right here. I do believe that that will take off if we get to that point. But also, I want to take a look at this imbalance or this gap, excuse me, this gap right here. I do believe the market can make a move from there. So here will probably be like the decisional. And when I say decisional, meaning you should probably wait for a confirmation of price action, right? In order to get into this trade, right? So maybe like a lower time frame, 1 minute shift of structure, and then you get in on the little retest or the higher low on the 1 minute. And the reason why we call that like a decisional is because you need a little extra for like a little extra confirmation to decide to take this trade, right? Now, when it comes to this entry down here, this will probably just be an entry that you take the moment it hits this level. I'm not really waiting for no, extra confirmations at this point because we've already cleared out, lows here. Obviously, this is hypothetically speaking. If we come down to this point, we would have cleared out lows here and cleared out lows here. So now we clear out two levels of internal liquidity while respecting the sell to buy candle that got a little imbalance in it as well, little fair value gap. It's a lot in this area that I believe can cause some sensitivity, right? So we come down to like 23,680. Obviously, check your brokers because sometimes the pricing is different just depending on the broker you use. But just look at this pattern and mark this up on your chart and whatever price is lining up here, that's where you want to get in. All right. That's the type of trade you just take without really thinking about it, just because of all the extra levels that's already been cleared out. All right. So overall, I'm expecting bullishness. Like I don't really see a scenario where we continue lower. I'd be shocked if we did. Obviously, the market can do what it wants. But I'm pretty confident that Nas will probably start pushing higher this week. All right. So let's keep it pushing. GBP USD. Obviously, we want to start from the higher time frame as always. All right. Um, GU, it hurt my feelings, man. It hurt my feelings. I had a sell limit at 35.95, right? And it's crazy how I missed this. I saw the Asia range building up right here. I knew, with the weak highs forming that we would somehow push back up above Asia session highs, which is that blue box. And I knew we'd get a sell-off, right? And unfortunately, I just put my entry just a tad bit too high. I wanted to use a round solid number like 3595. But if I'm being honest, I probably should have just put it above these old highs, put it some random number, maybe even 3593. But yeah, to miss that by, not even a full pip, that was pretty hurtful, to be quite honest. I mean, if we're looking at it, we're talking 3 micro pips, right? So, that's crazy. Missed that by less than a pip. And, I would have woke up. That was a London session set up. Well, actually, it hit at 6:15. So I took the sell limit during London session. And I don't even really wake up for another hour. So it would have been nice to, catch that perfect entry and wake up blue, wake up in profit. But it is what it is. So overall, it's like, what do we see happening now? So I'll just come to the higher time frame one more time just to confirm what I believe is going on. I did want to take a jab at some sales here. All right. I did partial out and then the market just reversed. Now, with the market reversing, where did it target? Okay. We came and targeted these highs right here. And now that we took them out, I'm a little more open to the market actually dropping because here, we had like a little gap, but at the end of the day, the market clearly didn't want to respect that. I looked at us coming to take this high out, push into this gap, and I thought the market could go bearish, but the market had different plans. It pushed higher, then we cleared out this previous high here. So now that we've induced that high, I'm looking at this like it's a lot more likely that we can get some bearishness because now I'm not just selling in the middle of a range, right? We got a high here, market came down to make a low, and I was just looking to sell kind of in the middle of no man's land. And, overall, like I said, I did get a reaction. I had a reason, I had a little high over here with the imbalance. So I had a reason to why I was taking a sell. But overall, if I had to compare the two, I definitely say this sell is better just because we actually take out a real area of supply. This was just an imbalance. This was just a fair value gap. But this is actually an area of supply that a lot of people were probably looking to sell from. And then it got induced, right? So pretty much meaning a lot of people that was probably selling right there, they got trapped, right? So looking at that like a smart money trap, and which is the reason why I was anticipating that ace entry to begin with. But now it's like, can we get another entry opportunity? All right, one or two things is gonna happen here. You got to give yourself options so that way you know how to react to different situations, right? I'm never just gonna say one thing and one thing only is gonna happen. That's why Nas, I gave you a couple scenarios. Now with GU, I'm gonna give you a couple scenarios as well. So we could just come up and do this, right? I don't think that's as likely, right? Because yes, this has the potential to be a strong high because this high is higher than this one. So it has the potential to be a strong high. But at the same time, if I'm looking at these candlesticks, not only do I want to see a strong high, I want to see strong candlesticks rejecting from the strong high. So the fact that I have a potential strong high right here, but if I just take a look at each candlestick that forms after that, they're small, they're weak, they're hesitant, they're not really just getting out the way, right? Like once you see the market clear highs, you want to see real displacement. You want to see large bearish engulfings. You want to see imbalanced candles, candles that create fair value gaps. You want to see a real push to the downside. So that way you have an area to take this lower high from, right? But when I look to the left and all I see is candles like this, I don't really see an area that makes me comfortable to draw a potential sell zone from. So if I don't like the sell zone, right, then I'm going to look for a higher high to be made. And my rule is if I like the area, right, so I like this sell area, the general area, I like it, but I don't like the specific reaction, right? So I like the area, but I don't like the reaction. If I can say that about an area, instead of looking for the lower high, I'm gonna look for the ace entry, right here. Okay. So this is the difference between whether or not the market is going to do something like this, and you enter from here, or if the market is going to do something like this, and you enter from here. That's the difference. Okay. So one is a lower high entry, one is a higher high entry, and you're anticipating the drop. So when I look at these candlesticks, like I said, you got to like really analyze the anatomy of the candlesticks. What is the body language saying to you, right? If these candlesticks could talk, would they be saying that I'm strong, that I'm powerful, that there's a lot of seller volume, a lot of seller pressure? I don't know. I don't think they would, honestly, because they look so small and indecisive. So since they look small and indecisive, I'm leaning more towards this move playing out right here, right? This could happen, but I'm more confident in the latter, in the second scenario playing out. All right. So again, keep your eye on this high. Timing will have a lot to do with it, just depending on time of day and stuff like that. So, keep your eye on it. But if I'm being honest, I would be looking particularly probably at that 3,600 level, 1.36. If we can hit like 1.36, I feel pretty confident in the market's ability to give me a reaction from there, right? So 1.36, just a round number, all right? Something easy to remember. We hit 1.36, and I believe we'll get a drop from there, all right? This will probably end up being a trap. So yeah, I'll be looking at this right here. All right. Smart money trap right here. And I believe that's a trap. So once we clear it out, I think we can definitely get some bearishness up here. All right. For like 15 to 20 pips should be more than enough. Obviously, if you execute it live, your stop loss can be even smaller than that. But I'm just giving y'all a general area since we on the call live. I don't know how it's going to hit specifically. If it's a large impulsive candle and you on the charts while it's happening, then obviously you could time it better and get even a smaller stop loss than that. But for now, just 15, 20 pips, you should be straight. All right. So Again, looking at these lows, we got easy targets right here. So bare bones minimum, we're gonna come and clear this out. And if we keep dropping, so be it. All right. So I wanted this move here. Once we came and took these lows out, that was kind of invalidated for me because this sell was predicated on me clearing out these lows, right? So once these lows got cleared out, I was no longer interested in those sales, right? So just so you know, go ahead and clear that up. A nice clean chart. So now what is it that we see happening? I'm gonna say the same thing, honestly, as GU, right? I'm gonna say the same thing as GU, okay? Because if we come and we just take a look over here, obviously, you do have some pretty strong bearish candles up here, right? You do have highs that are clearing previous highs. All right, so you got some strong highs over here leading to new lows. So I do feel like, you know, it's very possible to get a reaction from this area up here. Right? It's very possible. So when I'm looking at this area over here, and I'm also looking at these highs that look strange, right? These highs are not strong. There's no like real consolidation manipulation before the drop. So I'm not looking for a lower high here. It's the same situation as GU. It's like overall, I think the market can drop from this area, but I don't trust that high. So if I don't trust the high, I don't look for a lower high. I look for the high to get swept first. And once the high gets swept, then I could see the market dropping, become grab that low right there. Okay. So that's something that I definitely see happening. Obviously, this is a high that led to a new low being made. So there's a lot of supply in this area. So I'm looking at this as just a potential, high to a lower low being made. This is a lower high, right? And look, maybe it creates a lower low, or maybe it just comes down into this area before it's ready to buy again, right? Either way, it doesn't matter, right? Because the market could either make new lows or the market can just react from here and keep going higher. I'm just looking to trade this area in between. That's it, right? So whether the market is bearish or bullish, I believe that this move still has to happen, right? So that's why, I'll be taking a sell on EU. I'm looking at 1.174, right? Just a round number, easy to remember. 1.174, that area, 1.174. I start looking at potential shorts in that region right there. All right. So far, so good. We looking solid. Gold. All right. Gold was playing with my emotions, man. Gold was definitely playing with my emotions. Um, we had a couple good trades on gold last week. Caught the little sell here, lower time frame setup. We caught this sell here, knowing that this low would get taken, and then we would return bullish. And I was so disappointed in myself because I just hesitated on the buy. It's like we got the first initial reaction. And for whatever reason, I was looking for this low to get taken out again. I hesitated. I should have just took this buy. Ended up missing hundreds of pips. That really blew me. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like that had me hot. But just seeing how the market starts transitioning higher, you see, that could have been a beautiful setup, Played out exactly how I wanted, but just in the moment, execution got a little sloppy. Even here, nice setup as well. Now, what is it that might happen? I ain't gonna lie, I was surprised to see the market keep going bearish. I took a jab here, I got taken out at break even. And now I'm just like kind of curious, okay, what is the market's intentions? What does the market really want to do? Because I did believe that we were bullish and the market just kind of had other plans. So now this is, previous lows here that we just cleared out. So the question becomes, do we have enough to potentially go bullish, or are we just going to continue, bearish, right? So obviously, market has a couple choices. It can either, keep dropping to make new lows, or it could find a higher low somewhere in this region, right, in order to start going higher again, right? So that's kind of the dilemma. It's a little difficult considering how wide this area of imbalance is, right? So sometimes when you're dealing with these real big candlesticks like that, it does become a little difficult for you to gauge it properly on what exactly you think the market is going to do. All right. So, truth be told, I hate to say it, I don't really have a defined setup just yet on gold. Like now, if we come all the way down to these, buy to sell or sell to buy candles, then that's different. But there's still a lot of space, right? That's still, we talking 325 pips until we get to, these order block type candles. So there's still a lot of downside potential. I haven't really seen anything that makes me want to buy without a shadow of a doubt. Unless you're looking at this as a potential ace entry, you got a low here, you got weak lows, liquidity built up, and the market just purged that. If you're looking at that as a potential buy, I can see that. Don't get me wrong, I can definitely see that. I just wish that we were in a more defined area looking to the left, right? So again, this can happen. Make no mistake, this can happen right here. But when it comes to trading, it's not about catching every single move. It's about catching a move that you can replicate. It's about catching a move that you feel comfortable taking day in and day out. And if I see a move that and I like to play some hypotheticals in my mind before I take a trade. Before I take a trade, I ask myself, if I was to lose on this trade, would I be mad? Right? There's some setups that look like perfect textbook trade setups to where if I lost, I really wouldn't be tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, it is what it is. Like I take that trade again tomorrow if the opportunity presented itself. But then there's those trades where it's kind of like you're already on the fence about it, and then you take it anyway, and then you lose, and then that loss hurt twice as bad because you already in the back of your mind was kind of already against it. Now, the opposite side of that is if the market does move in your favor, you got to be able to, just let that happen. You can't be thinking about what ifs. You can't be having FOMO. You can't be, living in the past and all of that. You just got to allow the market to do what it does. And if it does take off, so be it. That's fine. It's just not the move for you. It's not the move that you was comfortable taking. So for me, is the buy possible? Obviously, anything is possible in the markets. But when I see all of this empty real estate to the left, if the market pushed down here, I wouldn't be surprised. So the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if it kept dropping, I feel like that's a good reason for me not to take that buy, right? So I'm gonna just kind of sit on my hands when it comes to gold, right? I like trading gold, but at this moment, I don't believe that I should attempt that buy, right? Timing is also another important factor. I mean, it's 7:45 Eastern time. I don't think we need to be buying gold at this time anyway. All right. So that's that. Um, let's do a quick rundown on crypto. Crypto. So, if we just take a look at what's going on, all right, I would not be surprised. Like, obviously, we're in a bull market, right? But we know the market doesn't just move in straight lines, okay? When we look at this, like, brand new high being made, right? Not a lot of volume in the candlesticks, right? Kind of soft, weak looking candle bodies. Then we come and clear that high out again. So now it's like, oh shit, we're making all-time highs, y'all. Bull market, right? So we get right underneath 125, like about 124, almost what's that? 124.5, just about. And then we get massive drop off. So now what is it that I see happening? I feel like we ran highs, now we're gonna want to run lows, okay? That's what I believe is gonna happen. We ran highs, now we're gonna want to run some lows, and then we'll probably continue bullish, right? So I do see, like 175, at least to end the year, probably 175, 180, 185 ballpark just to end the year possibly, if not a little higher. But I could see us ending the year up in this region up here. Okay. But with that being said, we can go bearish. We can have a few weeks of bearishness. Like that's not, uncommon at all, right? So be open to that. Be mindful of that. The fact that we are clearing highs, we can get a drop. If you look over to the left, last time we made an all-time high and then cleared it out, we got a decent drop, right? We talking, drop of 30%. Now, I ain't saying we're gonna drop like that. This was, you know, what's this, April time frame. So I'm not saying we're gonna drop that far, but if we got a 15% drop, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. 125 is a big round psychological number. If we got that, I wouldn't be surprised to create a higher low in order to go bullish. So I do think we'll go bearish on Bitcoin for a while. Um, be on the lookout for altcoins. I feel like altcoins will probably be real attractive right now. So if you're into that type of stuff, Solana meme coins and stuff like that, you could definitely turn up. I actually caught a little pump. Um, I caught a little pump. Um, what's the name of the coin? Let me see. Called Duck Season. And we caught like 400% in one day, right? So it's like when Bitcoin starts to drop a little bit, but we're in a massive bull market, some of those, low cap coins can pop, right? I'm not telling you to trade memes or nothing, but I mean, unless you got $100,000 to put into Bitcoin, you ain't gonna make a lot of money. So, do your research and stuff like that. If y'all interested in that type of stuff, I do have like some insider crypto info. I met with some guys, I can't say too much because there's like an NDA, but there's a big, big influencer, like one of the biggest in the world. He's about to launch a coin. And when he drops it, remember I said I called it here. Remember, I already had dinner with these dudes. We already hung out. Like I seen the name sign on the dotted line, right? I want you to think of I want you to think of one of the biggest influencers in the world right now. That's not a rapper, not an athlete, but just social media influencer. He's about to drop a major coin, major project. So if I was y'all, I'd put some money behind it. I'll let y'all know when it drops. I'm expecting for it to 30x. So I plan on putting like at least 5, 10K in there, see what happens. But I say all that to say this, you can definitely buy the main coins, right? You can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum, you can buy whatever. But unless you have a large amount of income, a large amount of capital to put in it, you're not gonna make astronomical gains, right? You can make some good money, don't get me wrong, but you're gonna need to focus on, low cap if you want to make money, right? If you really want to make money the way that you want to, all right? So just be mindful of that. Um Cardano, that's obviously the good one. This is This is a coin that has major upside. That's not like a meme or anything like that. You're talking 200% back to old all-time highs. Um, Obviously XRP. I'm a big holder of XRP. Been in XRP since down here. Um, Bitcoin, Ethereum, obviously, all the big ones, right? I'm not about to do a full, study on these low caps, but you got to do your own research there, right? But overall, man, I feel like we got a solid week brewing up. I'd definitely be on the lookout. Like I said, I already spoke on Nas, but I feel like Nas specifically, if we can get that push back down, like I spoke on, we'll get a nice buy on that. And if we can get GU, I prefer GU over EU, but either way, they're both gonna do something, right? But if I can get this GU sell, man, I feel like that's gonna be a beautiful trade setup for us. Obviously, I'm not really looking at gold right now. So right now it's pretty much Nas, GU, potentially EU that I got my focus on. All right. So, definitely get in position. All right. This call will be uploaded on the YouTube. So you guys can, rewatch it, get the price points, all that stuff that I spoke on. So that way you can, be locked in and ready to roll. All right. But that's pretty much all I got today. Like I told y'all, I don't plan on being long, but I'll be strong. About 45 minutes, we in and out, right? Now, unless y'all need me to look at any other currencies, you feel free to drop them in the chat if you want me to take a look at anything else. But other than that, those are the only pairs that I'm gonna be personally paying attention to. All right. Casa not no, not him. He probably just as big though. He's not a streamer. Not a streamer. Not a streamer. Instagram guy, not a streamer. Anybody else, any coin, not coins, but any pairs, feel free to let me know. If not, we're gonna keep it lean this week. I feel like that's the best way to go anyway. The execution is always better and you're not trading a million pairs. So, you know, those will be what I focus on today. It doesn't take a lot. You just need the right pair to move at the right time, and you make more than enough money. All right. Andrew Tate, nah, he already has a coin, but no, it's not him either. I said Instagram guy, Instagram guy. If y'all say it, I'll just be quiet. But I can't just come out and say it. I'm not supposed to anyway, you know. Ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee. Very good guesses. Very good guesses. Like I said, I'll just be quiet. But yeah, man. I'll just be quiet. I cannot deny nor confirm. I cannot deny nor confirm. All right. Very solid guess, Rod. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. All right. But any other questions, y'all? Any other questions? Any other questions, fam? All right. Well, I do appreciate y'all time, man. It was fun. Like I said, just give me a few moments, let this download and upload, and I will drop the recording in all my chats so you guys can go back, watch it. I feel like it's some good replay value, just some sauce in terms of when to look for hezzy crossovers, when to look for ace entries. And obviously we got a couple of trade setups for y'all. All right. So I do appreciate y'all for tuning in. I see you guys at the top or from the top. because the bottom is way too crowded. Let's have a record breaking week. I appreciate y'all, man. I'll see y'all on the next call. All right.